Alright, you guys, so we're looking at tips for players in the 1000 to 1100 range now. I'm not going to play my normal Vienna opening. I'm going to go, I think, maybe for a Scotch if we get this. So, okay, let's do things a bit differently then. Right, this is a 20-minute rated game. It's a 1:15 for me. So this is the Scotch game. I think if pawn takes, I could play the Scotch gambit. Okay, so what has my opponent done? Well, one thing he's done is he's blocked off this pawn here on d7, which makes life hard for this bishop. So why he's done that is he's seeing attack, right? I've got two pieces attacking the pawn on e5. He only had one piece defending it. Now, he could have taken the initiative and captured my pawn, which would have resolved his situation. But now I'm very tempted to play d5 and dislodge this knight. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Grab some space, right? Control this important square. See, from that square, the knight is able to control two squares in the center. Likewise, my knight is controlling the same two. And these guys, if they can come to these squares, they are controlling these two central squares. Right? That's one of the reasons why these natural development squares for the knights are so important, right? And so much more. So that's why you see the knights come to these squares so much more often than these squares. Also, a knight on one of those squares is defending the edge squares. Now, my opponent has now been forced to undevelop his knight all the way back to the start. Okay, so I've got one attacker, one defender on there. That doesn't add up. So, I am conscious that I now have these advanced light squared pawns that have really got no ability to move forward. So that makes this bishop less viable. So these squares in particular are not attractive. I could move my bishop to e2. I could develop my knight. Don't see any point in fianchettoing that bishop because again it's going to be stuck behind these light squared pawns. So I think bishop e2 is kind of sensible. This pawn isn't coming out. This bishop isn't coming out anytime soon. Okay, so he's attacking my pawn here. Most natural move would be knight here. I also have bishop g5 with the pin. But you see, early on, I've been allowed to gain really quite good control over the center of the board. And looking at my opponent's clock, he's on 19 minutes 19. So he's used 41 seconds of his time. First move 2.3, second move 2.7, third move 12 seconds. He's moving quite quickly. Okay, so the reason he's played this is to stop my knight or my bishop from coming to that square, which certainly has some sense to it. So I think now I probably want to develop my bishop, but it can't go here, here, here without being captured. This is an idea. Or maybe even this. So the next thing I would look for is pushing b2 to b3 useful? For example, if this knight wants to come out, he can't go there now, right? So where's he going to go to? He's going to go to here or here. So actually, b3 doesn't really serve me too well in that regard, because I'm always wanting to look for moves that have more than one purpose if I can. So I'm going to castle and see what Speedy Gonzales wants to do. I'm spending a lot of time gassing. Okay, so he's developed his knight, and because of this early inaccuracy in the center of the board, when this move, I think this move 2, move 3 from black, I think this is what is causing him problems. So now I have to say I'm tempted to take off the knight. Yes, it gives him doubled and isolated pawns on the A file, right? On the other hand, it gives his rook a semi-open file on the B file. However, my king's over here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that knight, partly because the middle of the board is a no-go area for light squared bishops. Okay, this pawn is defended, that's defended. Everything's pretty much defended apart from that pawn right there. I do have ideas now of maybe even capturing that pawn with my bishop to open up the board should my opponent castle. Put his king here. That might be an idea. So it'd be great to get a queen or a rook somewhere around there. But for now, I just want to carry on developing. So this looks pretty good. Let's put the bishop there. My rook may want to come around at some point, so it makes sense not to block off this pathway here. Okay. Pawn is now over defended. What's his plan? Well, it's not going to be to castle queenside. No way. So I don't have to worry about these pawns here too much. I do potentially have a pawn break with c4, c5. The f-pawn break is also a possibility at some point. Again, he's still got problems with this bishop. Even if the bishop goes there, it's still staring down a light squared pawn chain. So one idea now, okay, I'm pretty much completed development. My queen's still on the back rank. But one idea is to think, okay, how can I improve my pieces? So some general ideas would be centralizing the rooks. And also using, you're always going to have one knight that starts off further away from your opponent's king. So why not bring this knight around, maybe to here? Really shores up the defenses around my king, but more importantly, this knight could then jump in and actually be looking at this square, right? Okay, he's having a... Did I just undefend my... I did, I just undefended my own pawn. Okay, well, kudos to my opponent, he picked up on that. I'm moving my knight to here anyway. I'm going to tempt him to capture. Then I recapture with my f-pawn, and I've opened up a line for my own rook. He may want to take off the bishop, which is also fine. I just develop my queen. He's always going to be slightly hampered with this, but now, with this capture, the defender of this pawn is gone. So I'm thinking I'm going to be wanting to play c4, maybe b3, and rebuild my light squared pawn chain, and effectively make this bishop useless. So I'm a pawn down. I'm also down on time. Pawn's defended twice. Okay, I think right now it's a no-brainer. Put a rook in line with the queen and the king. Always a good idea to have a rook in line with your opponent's queen. Right, this pawn is now hopelessly pinned. That means, for example, I could put a knight on here if I wanted to. But I've also got a knight here, which attacks both the queen and the g7 pawn, which, as we know, is undefended. So that looks like a very tasty move. Notice, we're on move 12 and black hasn't castled. Whereas I've not only castled, I've centralized a rook. Yeah, I've lost a pawn. But this is looking good now. I don't really want to take the bishop. I'm not interested in that bishop right now. I mean, it is kind of lined up with the king, but hey. Now, okay, so he's castled. One thing about losing this pawn is that my rook has a little bit more scope. So do I want to come in with my knight here now? The queen can't go there and can't stay where she is. So she only has two squares. That means I could actually take out the bishop and the c pawn would have to recapture, giving my opponent two sets of double pawns. I also have to bear in mind that pawn is actually under threat. Undefended. So I think capturing this pawn with the bishop right now just feels premature. I haven't got anything to to back it up with. I haven't got a rook or a queen in this kind of area where it can add pressure. So right now I'm just going to play c4, maybe even b3. My opponent's minor pieces, well, certainly the bishops are kind of tripping over themselves right now. They really don't have much. This guy could come here, but in that case I can attack the queen. Then the queen would have to come to one of these squares. Well, not that one. Queen would have to go there. I can attack the queen again. Okay, so he's trying to do something with his bishop, but it's not going to go there and it's not going to go there. So what he has achieved is he's connected his rooks. Okay, is it the time now to whip out that move? Also, the queen is one of the defenders of this pawn, right? So I think she's going to have to go back there. So let's think there. If queen goes back here, I could snatch the pawn, regain my pawn. Okay. Otherwise, there, queen goes there. Maybe even that's a move. There, queen there. Well, let's think about it on his time. I think it looks like a promising move. I also now have two attackers on this pawn, right? So could I, if bishop takes, okay, he's gone there. So now I do have an overwhelm on this pawn. And I also have this idea. But I'm gonna capture there. One reason is it moves the knight out of the way of queen or rook. So I could bring someone to here and then take out this pawn for free. I'd like to move my queen there straight away, but I can't right now because of that knight. Okay, so he's taken. We recapture with a rook. So now material is equal again. I could defend with bishop, is a thought. If we trade, you can't really take back with the knight, that would be ridiculous. Trade, go there, then I can improve my queen, but then I can't really move my, oh I can, bishop's defending, okay. Alright, so, or, another idea, bishop here. It's on a square where it's defended. I like that. If he wants to take now, my bishop improves, I would say. Yeah, it's no longer looking at h6. But it is putting pressure on the knight. Also means the queen has to defend this pawn. See, this bishop is still bad. Still bad. And forever shall be. How about queen here? Okay, he's trying to break out, which I get. Now if I push, he can push. If I let him take, I can take, but then he's got knight and bishop looking there. He takes. I like the idea of pushing anyway, because at least it gets a pawn in a threatening position. And I'm not worried too much about this bishop looking at g2. But I've moved my queen to here. Takes. Bishop takes, attacking the queen. Queen moves there. Or if I take, we have bishop takes. Going back to this move again. Idea of maybe moving my knight I don't know. There, he's going to take me. I'm going to lose a pawn. There. Queen here. Can then be attacked by the knight from that square. If I take out the knight, and then, let's say queen takes back, takes, I'm going to take out the knight. He's 100% going to recapture with the queen. Alright, now, queen here is an idea. He can't capture the knight, and I'm threatening this. Also allows my rook to get into the game. However, I noticed this. So maybe we should... Could offer to trade queens as well. No, the knight is under attack. That's the most important thing. Okay, we need to do something about that. Ah, he's attacking the knight and he's attacking that. Okay. In that case, queen c2 defends both. Okay, takes, now he can capture. Alright, so he's going to be a pawn up. If the queen should move, I have a fork here. Alright, now we have a bit of an issue. My rook's defending that, but I can't push this pawn forward because my rook is actually undefended. If I go here, I'm attacking the bishop, which is undefended. If bishop takes pawn, I get that, which is nice. Also then defends, not there, this square. Or I can just drop my queen back and attack the bishop. He's going to come back to one of these squares, pressure on the knight. Oh, also I have to defend the knight. Wow, it's all getting a bit confusing, eh? Okay, let's retreat the knight. You can always come back to one of these squares and always attack that. This rook is a potential target as well. Now if I go here, I'm attacking the bishop. Bishop can't take that. But that queen could actually take there and win the pawn. Could go to here, threaten the rook. Let's go with this idea. He's going to take one of these pawns. Queen takes that one is slightly concerning. Actually, no, it's not, because then we simply trade queens and then I win the bishop. And my knight, so you can always come back to here. Okay, see? Preventing back rank ideas. So now I can push this pawn. Which takes away squares from that bishop that it had previously. Both of these pawns are undefended. That's defended, these are all defended. So he's got two undefended pawns. Actually, everything on my side of the board is okay. Okay, he's trying to cause a rumble. Queen here attacks both pawns. I don't think he can defend both. Let's go for that. I'm down to 6 minutes, so I need to start moving. So I think he's dug pretty deep. Just checking his timings. He's still moving quite swiftly. Attacking both pawns. Currently a pawn down, but these doubled isolated pawns really don't count as two. So I'd say this is kind of even. Rook here and maybe rook here might be good at some point. Okay. Okay, so now he's thinking, if I take this pawn, no, he can't capture. He can't capture because I'll get his rook. So that's not even an option. I take, okay, you've now lost your rook, dude. And now I'm going to come and get this pawn. Okay, he's not cheating. That was a blunder. All right. Well, that was a pretty good thing. So let's do a quick review of the game. Move one. Okay, so all apps. This has been seen millions of times, right? Millions of times. Scotch game. Bishop d6. And this is, I think, literally move 3. The guys used 18 seconds of his 20 minutes, and I'm sure. I think this is a mistake, maybe not even an accuracy, because now he's on the back foot, and that, I think, is the root of all of his problems. And look at how long it takes this light square bishop to get into the game, okay? So I develop, he develops, I develop, he defends. So he's being a bit on the cautious side, which I get when you're playing somebody, 300 points high rated, 400 points high rated. Now he brings his knight out to a bad square. I decide to trade my poor light squared bishop for his potentially much more active knight. Now he has doubled isolated pawns on the A file. I develops. Now I'm rerouting, as some people have said, my knight back round to here. Blunder, miss a pawn, drop a pawn. Knight retreats, centralize the rook, okay? So you can see that with some of these moves like h6, little bit on the slow side, and the main point is his king hasn't castled yet. Now he castles. Now I reinforce my pawn. I really want to keep this guy imprisoned as long as I can, keep him out of the game. He tries to develop. I come in with tactics, okay? And now I grab my pawn back. And we decide not to trade. I just want to change my bishop's position. At some point I might be able to take out this knight and remove that pawn. Takes. Now he wants to open things up for his light square bishop, but it's taken him nearly 20 moves to do that. We trade off. His light square bishop is still not an active piece. But we trade pawns, and now his bishop's finally in the game. Okay. Now that's the thing with bishops. Bishops can take their time to get into the game, and you can even have a bishop that's sitting on its hands for most of the game, and in the ending it just flies out the box and helps you win. Knights really don't tend to do that in the same way. Okay. So now attack the bishop. He could have simply taken the pawn there, I think, but he would have lost the pawn himself. Okay. Now I get to put my pawns on good squares, protecting them from this guy. I come after pawns. I grab that pawn, and now he just blunders. Okay, misses the attack. So let's do a quick review, see what the machine thinks of all this. So I really don't like that bishop move to here. Don't like that at all. I think that it's going to say that black had an advantage. Yeah, so black had an advantage at some point, but apparently I threw something completely away. Let's check it out. Normal. Okay, inaccuracy. He doesn't like that at all. That's the best move. That's excellent. Okay, so he's already slightly on the back foot. Bishop out. So I'm making some good moves. It doesn't like that. What does it want me to do? Okay. Inaccuracy, best. Okay, good. I'm pleased about that one. More inaccuracies. I'm not playing too sharp, am I? That's a mistake. Best move would be... Okay, he wants me to get my knight into there now. It is a nice square for the knight, for sure. Okay, but yeah, it's a mistake because I undefended the pawn. Great find. Blunder. Best move would have been... take the bishop, huh? Okay. Another mistake. So I am in a very dominant position here, even though I'm a pawn down, it says. I'm plus nearly 3. What should I have played? Okay. really wants me to get a knight into that square, which is the move that I play here. Okay, so I'm still totally winning position now, but something goes wrong at some point. Okay, doesn't like that. Doesn't like that. Now, you'll only see this game report if you've signed up to the beta program on chess.com. Okay, he wants me to put my bishop there. But it's still, I'm still in a strong position. Okay, shouldn't have traded. Doesn't like that again. Okay, it wanted me to trade. But, you know, we're not computers, are we? Alright, still +3. Here comes a blunder. Bishop takes there is a missed win. Okay, which is equivalent to a blunder. What should I have done? Queen there attacking the bishop. Okay. And how does that go then? Maybe. Maybe. Okay. And this is the point, really, where my opponent gets the upper hand. So now black is better. Now he's up a pawn again. I didn't like that move. That's interesting. Why not? Go figure. Attack the bishop. That's a mistake. Should have grabbed the pawn. I agree. This... oh, wow. Okay, so putting the rook on the open file and threatening checkmate, actually. Should this rook ever come off the back, because my queen's still here, she's guarding that escape square, so yeah, that makes sense. Best, and then simply blunder. And that's the end of the game. So I got through that one with the skin of my teeth, but I think the key point is it all started to go wrong with inaccurate play right from the start. Okay, so right now, white is nearly +1. And particularly with this, white is now +1, having moved the knight back. So yeah, certainly not my best kind of performance so far. But I'm playing an opening I don't know, or haven't played for a while anyway. I think my opponent did actually very, very well through that, as you can see from the report. So if you're in that 1,000 to 1,100 range, I hope you've picked up one or two things. Most particularly, at the start of the game, right? Think about all your options. Don't just walk into a move in the opening like bishop here, all right? Think, okay, what are my options? If pawn takes, knight takes, queen takes even, that's fine. That's not too bad, you know? But this, you don't want to be shutting off your bishops, making life difficult for your own pieces that early on in the game. So, this is an inaccuracy. The best move here is to take, right? And you know, if you know the Scotch game, then I think that is absolutely the case. And the normal line would go and there, you know, black is absolutely fine. There's a pretty much equal position. Okay, so there you go. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon.